Ready?
This, only
That's
you
what I'm
all
gonna
need
do.
it? Maybe depends. Oh.
Okay, well, let's call the meeting to order. Additions or deletions to the agenda. Any?
I have an announcement, but I don't know when that is.
That's a great announcement.
Don't let me forget.
You did. Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the floor?
Come on, dude,
There is a,
man up. What, have you been working today?
Teresa, Gary?
Teresa, you're, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Hi. I was just reading the letter from the Board of Elections moving to even years.
Yes.
And just to note that Gary and I are both up for re-election in 2027. But if you read the last paragraph, it says that it does not impact town justices. So
correct.
I guess from moving forward, the town justice positions will always the only thing on the ballot every odd year.
That's right. Isn't that odd, but that's true.
Okay, so I'm understanding it and you understand it. Okay.
Yeah. It's weird that they did it that way, but that's what they did.
So for instance, how does that affect you?
We're now on the even years. So for next time that I'm up, it'll be for only a year. And you'll have to do it again a year later.
So when are you up? When are you up again?
6.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
In 25 or 26?
25.
Elections.
So it'll be for the
Elections.
office in 26, but the campaign will be in 25.
So you will only have a 1-year term. So anyone that's up for re-election in 25 will have a 1-year term.
Only if they have normally a 2-year term, which that's the situation for me
Oh,
from Mariah. But not for the board members. The board members get to go. Right.
Okay.
3 years instead of 4.
Okay, thank you.
Harry,
I just had one quick question. What happened to our lawnmower down at the fire station? They're not doing that?
I know.
well, man, that's a fire district question. But,
They're,
I heard that
town
they
board,
had,
that, the mower that the town board, has for everything else, that's not included in the fire districts?
no, they do that, they have their own contract for the fire district.
Oh, all right. That's all I had.
That's pretty long.
It sure is.
There.
You're doing the hay by the time you get to it.
They're adamantly independent.
Yes.
Yeah. The no mow May.
Right. They got quite the crop of dandelions.
Uh.
Ted,
Sure, very simple. Would you guys mind moving the table to your right about 2 feet? Or if it's easier, move the camera to its right. There's somebody invisible whose pen I can see an elbow to your left, Joel.
The terrible glare on
move
this.
There's
Oh,
Pat.
yeah. Oh, that's very nice. That's as good as it's ever
better
been.
than either of the options that were suggested.
Well, I figured it was easier to give you options than to just, Anyway,
Yeah.
very much. I look forward to the rest of the meeting.
Anybody else? All right. So yes, there was this communication from the Board of Elections remarking the change in the when we get elected and what the implications are when it happens. And you have an announcement.
Yes, I wanted to remind everybody about Taps for America on
For the 3.
2 events. One on Monday, the 27th.
27th.
27th. That's now I'm getting confused, but yes, and the real Memorial Day will be down in the park in,
Well,
Ithaca.
that is the real Memorial Day, but the
Well,
old Memorial Day.
The one that they was set up
Yeah.
was always supposed to be the
The
30th.
30th.
It got changed to Mondays, just like a lot of holiday things did.
Yeah.
But anyway, 2 events, 3 o'clock here for Monday
On the 27th.
Monday, the
27th?
Yeah. And maybe the fire department will come and have their trucks there and make people slow down. So we can hear each other and people can stop.
I could mention it. Don't forget that the election is the
All right.
school
and
district
school
is
board,
tomorrow.
yes, school budget
School board and budget
tomorrow.
in all districts. And we do not have Dan Klein here, neither do we have a written submission from him. And Keith isn't here, but Laura is. Anything to update us, Laura, from the highway?
No, not really. No, they're just, they're just going about trying to figure out what roads they're gonna do. We should have, hopefully at the next meeting, the permission to spend funds, as they're gonna be pinpointing some roads to do this summer. But not, just business as normal. There isn't anything else that you'll see. You'll see that I sent that extra bill out to you guys because that bill came in for the loader.
Right.
We got the loader program, and that's ended up to be a really good thing. And a lot of the stuff we took to auction, we made close to $2,000 on it. Some of that stuff that we sent up that you guys had approved. And just going about business as usual, really. Normal stuff getting ready for summer.
Good, thanks. Mariah, you have an update for us on the transition?
Well then, yeah, the transition is going pretty smoothly. If our IT consultants were on site on Wednesday, May 15th for MFA Day to help anybody load the multi-factor authentication on their phones. And the next big date is Thursday, May 30th, when we will be switching over to Outlook email. We'll be spending most of the month of June working on documents. We will be using SharePoint, and we're actually looking forward to it. If anybody has any questions or any issues getting into Zoho, they can give me a call. That's what I got.
So when did you say about multi-factor authentication?
In order to get into Microsoft, you will need multi-factor authentication, which is similar to when you log on to your bank account and they say, oh, we're going to send you a text, and they send you a text that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into your browser, and then it says, oh yes, you must be you. That's multi-factor authentication. So instead of just trusting that you're signing into your account, it's going to your phone and saying, does this person also have this phone?
Right, verifying it. And what's the
Exactly.
time, when is that implemented?
You should have the multi-factor authentication on your phone at this time. You should be using that to get into Zoho. Your password is changed for Zoho because TCNS has gone into Zoho and they are taking all the email from Zoho and migrating it over to Office to Outlook.
Okay.
So you should be putting that multi-factor authentication on your phone at your earliest convenience so that when you log into either Zoho or Outlook, you will have that on your phone so that you can put the code in and have that multi-factor authentication verify that you are you.
It's something not looking forward to, but we need it.
You didn't already do that? And you can get into your Zoho account?
Yeah, you can,
Yeah,
Phil,
you can.
I noticed that too, and
No, Jonathan couldn't.
Let you bypass it if you ask him to.
Yes, there is a way to bypass it on the lower right-hand corner if you hit the remind me later. And if you just stay logged into Zoho and don't log out,
That's the
like
other thing.
that's
Yeah.
the other way to kind of bypass this, but you will need it eventually and it's all good. We'll help you out when if there's any hiccups or anything, we'll help you out.
Yeah, great. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay, meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the May 6th meeting minutes.
second that.
The suggestions or?
Made the corrections, spelling, but
Yeah.
that's done.
Pretty much. So I guess we're ready to vote.
Very good. Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes,
Thank you.
Welcome.
on to the ones. Want to do them as a bunch or do you want?
Well, what was added?
The purchase of the new loader,
So that was the highway.
yeah, they added 18,000 or something or other to the total.
How much? I moved the general fund vouchers 148 to 164 for $19,841.79.
Second.
I have one
Sorry.
just one question. How do we end up with Cintas invoices going all the way back to December?
Apparently there were some, and Julia had gotten these bills or had looked on a statement. And apparently there were some missing bills, some bills that didn't end up on our desk to process through. That'll happen from time to time, but we both looked way back. Both
I
of us
think-
put our eyes on it to make certain that these were for sure open
Okay.
bills. And
Laura,
they are. Yes.
I just want to, I want to say this could also be my fault. I was putting the paper bills, I noticed that they had paper bills and email bills, and I thought that the paper bills and the emails were the same, but it was not the case, and it was actually the paper bills that I provided to Julia, and she said, oh yeah, no, we haven't paid these, so my apologies.
Gotcha. That's okay. They're in there. They're paid now.
Lovely
And
moment.
we're doing business as normal. So that's all right. Thanks, Mariah.
It's just a curiosity thing. How did that happen?
And thanks you guys for discovering it. So it's on its way to done.
Oh. Okay, the vote.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, let's just, I moved the highway fund. I assume it's voucher 79 through 92.
Is that correct? Is it 92?
Oh,
That has the LT
Right.
equipment. That was the 18,000.
I changed it. I mean, I got the new amount, but I forgot to look at about.
So what's the new amount?
$41,640.02.
79 through 92 for $41,640.02. And could you tell me how much, and discussion, what the voucher, what the total for that number 92 was?
It's here. 18,771.
And that's the loader contract.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what the net was after trading.
yeah. Cheap,
Yeah.
It's not too bad for a year.
No.
year or two.
okay.
Brand new machine for a year. Good deal.
My apologies. Did Gannon second that?
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Connors,
yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
welcome.
Mhm.
I'll move, the West Danby Water District, vouchers 11 through 13 for $155.56.
Second.
You want me to second it? I'll second it. You saw the look. Got
Wait,
it.
well, hold on. I wrote Gannon seconded it. Did,
All right, that's cool with me.
You didn't.
So Paul's thirding it.
Yeah, she's,
Yeah.
I tell you, the look she gives me.
okay, so wait, who seconded that?
Joel.
Okay, thank you. Ready?
Yeah,
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gannon.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, on to business. We have a request to use the town hall on the 30th of May for public participation meeting for motility vision for Tompkins County. Did you see the communication from Frank Dalgo, I think it was, from county?
Yes.
He's now head of the mobility vision, which is important because it's looking at how people get around, basically. To connect to and including public transit. So it includes the bicycle and pedestrian access and all, like ride sharing to a bus site. And if maybe we can get something up, put in the newsletter, because you probably have people's hands in time, because.
Yes, they will.
Is this happening in all the towns?
I don't think so.
Huh.
I mean, there's a countywide vision, but this meeting, I don't think this is a Danby specific meeting.
no. I mean, often they try and hit like 3
Yeah.
small towns or something.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm.
So,
I move we allow the use of the town hall May 31st.
30th?
For that,
May 30th.
May 30th.
Second that. Great vote. Yes, the vote.
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I don't know why Craig just, well, because he's up next up.
Yeah,
because he didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think.
he's probably getting a call from his wife. That's the main thing that takes precedent,
Yeah,
right?
Well,
Definitely.
sure. Well, while we're waiting, why don't we do the change of town board meeting date? I question. We bounced it around last time, didn't resolve it though. Said, let's deal with it next time. Here we are. You want to change it? I mean, there are good reasons to, and there are good reasons not to.
Right.
I mean, I liked it when it was, one Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was, and then the Wednesday. I just liked having it on different,
Days of the week.
Yeah.
just spreads it around. Makes it so more people, if people can't come on one day, they can come on the other.
Mhm.
It was a little bit confusing. And one of the advantages of it got the, getting the warrants together away from the weekend.
Right.
Yeah,
But
Which would be
actually,
really
it's
nice.
really convenient to have the warrants. They're always done on Friday, the last workday.
Yes.
Because it's a weekend, there's Friday and Saturday and
Okay.
Sunday to work on it. So in fact, it's been easier
Yeah,
since it's on Monday.
and it's
meeting.
supposed to be a couple days ahead anyway, but the reality is that,
yeah. Well, it used to be at the meeting. So
Yeah,
Right.
it's better
we remember
than it
that.
was.
Mhm.
It sounds good in theory that if it's different days of the week, different people can come. But again, it's not the day of the week that matters. Most people don't have meetings every Tuesday or every Thursday. There's like third Monday, fourth Thursday.
Yeah.
The same as most of the town board meetings.
Yeah. So
when you switch it to another day, you're no guarantee you're gonna help get any particular person to come. And in the past experience, has not made any difference.
Not a whole lot.
Well, I don't think having it on the same,
Whoops, sorry.
having it on the same day hasn't, I mean, we have the same people.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Doesn't
you know,
make-
it's not
Doesn't seem to make a lot of-
necessarily helping. Not that I,
Yeah.
maybe it is and I'm not aware of it, but,
So that means it's so exciting that,
yeah,
Zach is worth 10 men,
yeah.
for women, 10 women,
10 women,
Yeah.
correct.
3 men.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe only a couple women, but 10 men.
I do know that it was addressed to me by some people in the fire department.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah,
And
Well, it
the
is a-
option means
yeah.
that we could go to a meeting and they could, there are those options.
The fire department meetings, not their training center. the
I,
meetings
the
are
one that happens on Mondays here.
well, the
whatever.
district
This
meetings on
Are
Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
Yeah.
The meetings, the business meetings for the 2 fire departments are the second Monday, not the first and third Monday. The rest of every Monday is training.
Well,
sessions.
it's Mondays, I mean, but
They
they're
have the
not,
trainings.
No, they have training sessions every Monday, but
Right.
then they have a business meeting that everybody is invited to. The business meeting is the second Mondays every month.
So it's not like us.
Right. The downside of it being on Monday is that,
Steve,
Steve,
our code person,
is in the fire department and, he has to skip in order to attend,
right?
which is, that's a concern.
What's your opinion?
What do you think,
Well,
Bob?
as a past code enforcement guy, I didn't come to the meetings either.
You did sometimes.
That was bad.
When I needed to, and I'm sure that Steve, on those rare occasions, would come.
Steve was a
He's
regular
been-
attendee when we went
Yeah.
meeting on Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He was.
yeah,
Did you like that?
yeah.
Just because it made you warm and fuzzy, or did he
Oh,
participate?
he would
I mean,
do it there, he can answer questions and he had reports that he could speak. I liked it too.
I mean, sometimes it was helpful having him here when, people in the attendees could,
You
get
could-
answers to
right.
questions or, I
But
just
in
thought. it was-
fact, since we meet at 6, and the fire department meets at 7, anybody can come, especially
For an hour or so.
for an hour, and that's when the public hearings are held, and that's when, privilege of the floor
Mhm,
is held within that first hour.
true. But I'm hearing you preferring keeping it on Mondays.
I prefer the same day of the week to, it's easier to.
I do too, but I'm not adamant about it. I write it on the calendar.
Yeah.
And Kathy reminds me that,
I mean, it's nice to have the same day of the week, but the only way we'd be able to do that would be if we move to Wednesday, because the Tuesdays are all booked except for the first one. We could do, what's going on Wednesday? Some people have
Right.
problem with Wednesdays.
Mariah had
I
something.
have something and
Every day.
if I ever went back to chorus, I can't sing in the chorus because of the Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But, oh wow.
So Mariah, you have a regular Wednesday thing?
Yes.
Yes.
So we can either have a conflict with the clerk or conflict with the code officer. I think conflict with the clerk is the more important one.
You mean to not have,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
The more important conflict to not have.
right.
So that means Wednesday's not good, so if you're pushing into Thursday.
Yeah, and then we just have to make sure it's not there are many meetings on Thursdays
That's
also.
right, especially
So,
toward the end of the
I'm
month.
just gonna say that Pat and I just like it on the same day. That's just a preference, right? Yeah, just a preference. If you three guys just pick a day, you got
Well, we
the,
can't do it Tuesday, I mean, Tuesdays.
you
are
can't do it
bad.
Tuesday?
Well, there's a lot of meetings on Tuesday.
Yeah, the
Me
only
too.
Tuesday that's not booked is the first one.
Oh, so you're like ruling out all the other days. You can't do it Tuesday, you can't do it Wednesday. Thursday. You can't do it Friday. It's either Thursday or back to Monday.
Thursday is, the county committee often has their.
Yes,
meetings on
but that's
Thursday.
usually late in the month, but
Yeah, usually last
Not
week.
consistent.
no, it's not, but it's usually late in the month.
What's wrong with Friday?
Friday's Friday.
Paul doesn't like it
It's a
because
weekend.
it's Friday.
Well, and people go away if it means
Yeah.
that, yeah, I think Friday. probably is a bad idea.
Yeah, who wants to do Friday? I mean, it's not just me. I think most people like, oh
Friday's
yeah,
off.
I'm gonna go to the town board meeting on Friday. Like, come on, really?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna, Friday's not a good idea. I mean, I guess, I don't know, it was a nice idea, and I think it's a good thing to think about, and I don't think, I think we're not getting a real strong
Feeling wrong with that.
option for
Well,
changes.
Yeah, if we had a good thing to move it to,
Right.
it would help, but we don't really.
Yeah, an afternoon.
Oh,
would be
cool.
so
We're up
nice.
to 4-1.
But,
We're up to 4-1.
no, I didn't say, I'm saying,
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
all right. It's okay.
So maybe the result is we just leave it alone.
yeah, we are not able to,
Yeah.
we don't seem to be,
Leave it for now.
yeah, leave it for now. Just
I like
leave it
that.
off. What we decide.
There might, something down the road might happen where it becomes really imperative to,
Yeah, right.
something
Yeah.
that push us in that direction. Sounds good.
But in the meanwhile, there's no compelling reason to move. And there's. lots of
Okay,
reasons not
next.
to. Okay,
Oh,
okay, we were waiting,
Sewer,
we did the next item because you were dashed out of the room just as we were getting to you.
Your turn.
So your turn.
Sewer.
sewers,
What about? Well, you were trying to set a meeting up to
For
do
what?
the sewer study, right? Or-
sewer study
A special meeting.
and next steps.
Yeah, well, so Joel and I met with Hunt Engineers last week. Had a good long 2-hour talk with them, and it's probably worth just bringing that to the board and just, sort of a repeat of our call of just having the engineer just explain kind of the whole study and really what the next steps are for the town if the town chooses to move forward with them.
And that's a pretty big report to wade through, so I think it warrants, because we didn't spend a whole lot of time on that, other than say that it's happening, to keep people abreast of it, and now it's done. It's like, do we take advantage of it, and if so, how? And I think it warrants a meeting worth of focus, as opposed to trying to integrate it into one of our regular board meetings.
So this was the study that sort of came up with the notion of hooking up to sewer.
Right.
Well,
Well,
creating
creating.
the entire system.
Yeah.
We create the system, not just hook up to what's to like.
No,
town
correct.
hookup.
Nothing
Not
hooked up
one
to it.
place.
Nothing
Okay.
to hook up to, yeah.
Yeah.
Although they did look at that, but let's then rule it out, it's ridiculously expensive to try to go over the hill to the Ithaca.
It's also ridiculously expensive to
Yeah.
do it
So-
here.
Unless we can get some funding for it, but
Well, that was what, I just had a long talk with
But
Greg.
that's why I think it's
That's why we took
important to bring it to the board, so that it's not just coming secondhand from me, but actually hearing from the engineer. The thing is, that he's away, Tim is
or you
away.
found it away. Yeah.
Well, I didn't connect with him, but I connected with somebody else in his office, he's at a conference, and so we were hoping to have his availability by right now.
Oh,
And then the board would say, oh, sure, let's.
okay.
check that he's available, so,
Bring it up again, next board meeting.
yeah.
Well,
So,
you're thinking we can get a time from them as to when would be good for them?
I mean,
Yeah.
if you all feel comfortable, I would just hate that if you selected a day right now, it's tough to find the time, and then you selected a time, scheduled it, and
Yeah.
then Tim said, oh, I'm not available.
No,
Right.
So,
well, maybe we could just get a couple times that they
Sure.
could do it,
yeah,
and then we
So
can,
put on
who the
agenda
most
next
people can do it.
Next meeting.
I'll stand right here. Brian needs me to speak into the mic.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
far away from you. Right?
Okay, so, right, I think having Joel and I try to explain the sewer study and all the next steps, Tim has led communities through this. He was on a town board for 12 years. He understands the implications of, going forward with something like this.
He's the
and-
same guy who made the presentation last time, right?
I'm not sure I wasn't here.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
I think it was July of last year,
So we could, if we could get a couple
Yeah,
options from
Yeah.
him, and then whichever one that most of us could make it to.
Right, so what
Several options.
I guess what
Yeah.
I would propose is that we get options from him and then just sort of poll the group and then set a meeting.
Right,
But, what I'm looking for is really whether there's agreement that it's worth having a special meeting so that we can do that conferencing with.
well, I trust, I mean, that Greg thinks it might be helpful.
So I think the biggest thing is that it's gonna inform us more about what the process is. And it talks about a lot about grants that are possible for doing this thing. I did have this conversation with Greg, and I'm gonna paraphrase some of it, is that the engineer himself, as a board member, when he was said, wouldn't do it. It just won't be done. None of the numbers really change that significantly. But in the name of being really well informed.
Yeah.
We should probably hear him out one last time. And then we'll have a case for saying, look, this is dead in the water. So that,
yeah, well,
I really have a long way to get
Right.
convinced that there's any possibility of this getting done. But I'm willing more or less to get the background information that he's
Sure.
willing to present, so.
what Tim was saying, just really frankly, was that based on the cost per property owner here in the hamlet, based on the cost right now, if he was a property owner in the hamlet, he would not vote for it because it's just too high. So
Right.
really with this kind of infrastructure development in a small area like Danby, or even just this hamlet of Danby, both hamlets, you really need significant grants to just help fund the infrastructure costs. So he was going off the list of what grants you would apply for first, and then after, once a district is formed. I mean, sounds like he's walked
Yeah.
communities all through this process.
And significantly, he actually offered to write the grant request.
And I think Hunt is already preparing, if they're ready, they're waiting for the okay. I got an email from the grant administrator today just saying, oh yeah, Danby's on our list to apply this year, so just let us know if you want to go down that cost. And so this is a grant that would cover 85% of the construction cost. But then there's more than that, there's forming a district, and so that's where other kind of monies would help in. I truthfully don't understand all that process on what things need to happen first and what, sort of sequential. Right, so Tim would help us to, really break that down, and then it's up to, the town to say, sure, even just going, and even if you get the grant, but Tim was saying, funding agencies, it used to not be like this. People can get grants or be awarded grants, and then you can just say, never mind, we're really just not quite ready for it. And it used to be looked at very poorly, and you were sort of get on the blacklist, but
Yeah.
there's funding agencies know that things change in a year, funding changes, just different issues in towns come up, so it's fairly common, even if the town were to get awarded a grant. And I'm not saying that, that's necessarily that you don't want to be setting yourself up just to give back the grant, but
Right.
so they're already on notice, and they're already, I think, ready, and they would do it for free. But I think it is warranted to have Tim come and
I mean,
answer all the questions.
we got to this point because we originally got a grant to look at, what can we do to enable shared systems from the county, and it wasn't a lot of money. And Hunt said, you know what, we can apply for more money for you, and they did. So the grant that we got that enabled this study was actually created by the same outfit that is now proposing to write the next grant to get us the money to do it if we want to.
Okay, let's get a couple times.
Well, and the other
Check
thing
it out.
is that Greg's gonna spend money on, Greg is gonna spend time on this too.
Oh,
And
sure.
his time is worth something, just.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but at this point, it's just getting the engineer
Yeah.
to do the
Right.
presentation.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I move that the board authorize me to set a special meeting, based on our availability and Tim's.
Okay,
That was second, right?
oh, this second, yeah. I authorize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might talk about it in order. Okay, right.
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. All right, Stacy recommendation. You may recall that we, the board, said we wanted to go back to the state for authorization to, enable conservation easement, town conservation easement that pre-existed the creation of the local law implementing the tax abatement for conservation easements in the program. We haven't made any real effort to do that yet because when Catherine contacted Dan about it, he basically said he wasn't interested in pursuing it.
Yeah,
Didn't think he was in a position to help anyway.
yeah, I think it's unfair to say it in a negative way, but
He didn't think he could help.
Right. and also he was not able to get good communication with Leah
And,
And-
yeah,
and Anna because of, I don't know why, about the tax implications for the town budget, and they
Mhm.
just didn't get back to him. Now, I don't know any more than that. But in the meanwhile, at the meeting, the subject came up again about, well, why not consider all easements in the town, which we've had this discussion before. And then that meant, let's just bring it back to the board and say, this board, and say, before we try to contact the legislators,
right,
then we could say, okay, we don't just want you to let the people who had one earlier get in the abatement, but we want to say anybody that in Danby that has an easement,
the conservation easement.
the conservation easement could get the tax abatement. So that's the question. Back to us.
Tax abatement means a percentage of their tax. Would we have a number?
What it does is it
depends on the
exempts,
length of the
it
easement.
exempts a certain percentage of your property value from taxation. That's how that's how. the
It's a
abatement-
tax exemption, not an abatement.
Oh,
Could you?
Right.
so they pay zero on any land that has an easement on it?
No, it's a
No, no,
percentage.
So it's,
So this is-
Not yet.
this is not-
the way it works under the provisions of that local law, which is based on the enabling legislation, is if it enables temporary easements, which we haven't had and do not yet have any of. But if you do a temporary easement, the amount of the exemption
Space.
varies depending on the
Number of
length of
years.
time in which that you opt to have your land be under protection. It starts at 15 years, which gets you 50% off of the town tax of the land that's protected. It doesn't affect the value of the buildings or anything like that.
And it's only the land that's in the easement.
Right, exactly.
The amount
So
of land.
it's the land is protected that is subject to the exemption to the varying degrees. So if it's so it starts at 50% for 15 years, and then if there's 4 tranches, if you commit for a longer period, it goes up to, I forget what the percentages are, but
Is it
the
90?
longest one, but
Ni-
it's
90%?
well, anyway, a permanent easement gives you 90%.
Yeah, 90.
And all of our easements to date, and all of the easements with other organizations are permanent easements. So to the extent that we allow them to, or enable them to participate, it would be a 90% off on their property tax on the protected land.
Is that land then essentially public?
No,
So people can't come onto that land because it's still private, but the
Well-
private owner can continue to
Right.
use that land.
yeah.
But
that's
not
what
for-
conservation easements work. Public access is not, required in order for there to be a conservation easement. You might negotiate that with a property owner, but it doesn't come automatically with a conservation easement. The public benefit is that the land is not developable. And it doesn't require any services.
Right.
It was to preserve the rural character. It provides habitat for critters and place for plants to grow. It essentially amounts to a statement, this is what we're talking about, that highest and best use, quote unquote, is not the highest and best use, which is to say that, you know, that assessing the property for for its development value doesn't fairly represent what we value as a community, which is not that it most development as possible.
I'm very interested in trying to get the folks, who have easements with the town of Danby
Included.
included.
Previous, right?
I have questions about including easements that were done by the Finger Lakes Land Trust or somebody else. I don't know who else has easements in town, but you know, I used to be more familiar with them, but I don't, they're, you know, our easements were determined by the CAC to be valuable, and the conditions were hashed out with the town. And it just feels different to me. Maybe I don't have enough information, but it feels different. The Finger Lakes Land Trust, and who else has easements in this, in town?
Greg, do you,
But,
Greg, offhand know the other organizations that have conservation? I know there's at least one in West Danby that's by Humane Society.
The Humane Society.
I think so. It's a hunting preserve. You know, you don't know hunting. And there's at least one.
Humane Society.
True, but I'm not another.
Yeah, most of them are land trust. Easements.
I get land trust.
Yeah.
Nobody can hunt on my property either.
Yeah.
It doesn't require an easement for
No,
that
no, that's true.
to be true.
Well, you know,
So there must be a
but not everybody's conservation easement requires no hunting either.
Right, but they've worked out the logistics of the easements with the landowners.
Right.
The town did not.
No, but I will say that the land trust criteria for acceptability, if you will, are more stringent than ours.
Well, can the land trust work out things? I mean, it's.
Yeah, but all conservation easements serve the primary purpose of removing development potential. I mean, that's what they're for. If the provisions beyond that vary, depending on
Right.
what your purpose, you know, what the organization.
Right,
is.
and how,
Humane
I
Society,
mean, there could be
the
development.
property owner didn't want hunting on their property, so they went to the Humane Society, whoever it was, and they got a hunting preserve. Nothing else can happen on that property either, but because that's conservation.
So it's
But a conservation easement doesn't necessarily eliminate the ability to develop. It just would,
Yes,
it would pinpoint where it could happen.
well, I mean, there can be reserved rights. Within
Well,
conservation, if it's to develop, but any development that is allowed, that land that development occurs on is not eligible for any tax abatement.
It's not, you mean it's not in the easement?
It's in the easement. I mean, we've
Yeah,
got,
I hear
we've
what
got, I
Leslie
mean,
Barkley.
consider the Hoffman Carlson easement, which we just approved last year. There's a reserved right in there for up to 5 dwelling units.
Yeah.
You know, well, that's a reserved right. That's a conservation easement property. It's our conservation easement property,
Right.
but it protects 100 acres and it limits the future development to 5
To
units.
certain place, yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's what I just said.
everybody
Yeah.
else's easement will do exactly the same thing.
So it doesn't preclude development.
Altogether, no.
Okay.
But the point of it
That's-
is to reduce development potential, and unless it does that.
Yeah, but okay,
no point.
that's
Yeah.
clear, but the problem is that in that case, he can get a tax abatement on that property that will have 5 houses potentially.
Yeah.
And that's through Danby though.
Yeah. that's-
Yeah.
Danby easement,
It's a
right.
Danby easement, right?
Yeah. So I mean, the land trust also has occasionally reserved rights as well, where, somebody wants the reserve right to add a unit sometime in the future for, son, daughter, whatever. Usually there's a designated location for it, so that, if you do it, it will happen here. And if, sometimes they sunset, because it's like my daughter might, but then if your daughter does it within 20 years, the right goes away,
So let me ask a question. This is about expanding the tax abatement for that property.
to other properties
other-
protected by conservation easement.
First of all, I think it should be uniform, if it can be. And secondly,
Well, can you just say
that
what
tax
unit-
abatement has to be, it can't be a fixed unit because it has all these other provisions on the easements. So it's a case by case, it sounds like,
Well, the thing is about
unless we create, a criteria now for what those easements could be, that would affect the tax abatement. So I'm not
Well, the
looking
way-
for a uniform tax abatement for all these properties.
the way the law works is that you either have a conservation easement
Yeah,
or you don't.
Yeah.
If you've got one, then it's a simple form that you fill out in order to participate in the
That's what
program.
that is.
And
So they'll be applying to us,
no,
to the
if
county.
you've already, we enable it.
State.
You apply to the, you fill out the form, and basically you, apply to, it applies to you go to where you file your taxes in the state.
It's New York State.
And so they'd be making the,
There's no decision to be made. You either have it, you either
Either have it
qualify
or-
because you've got a conservation easement, or you don't have. a
but it
conservation.
sounds like conservation easements aren't the same
Well, they vary in their provision, but they all protect land.
from
So-
development.
And so
Sort of.
um,
Anyway.
the exemption is for conservation easement land.
But there's 2 issues right here that we dealing with. One is the current abatement applies to only those that have gotten conservation easements since that law was passed. So
In-
one issue is
From Danby.
A
With-
Danby.
in Danby.
With the town.
with the
From
town.
Right.
So one issue is whether we extend it to apply to easements through the town before the law. went
Right.
effect.
Okay,
The second
Everybody's in-
category is.
I'm in favor of
easement
that.
By somebody else, and
Right.
I'm not in favor of the other one, but I'm in favor of going to the other people in the town of Danby.
Yeah.
okay, but I do ask another question. So there's a development easement, meaning an anti-development easement on that property, right? So nothing can be developed there. Suppose they want to put a festival on that property.
A festival, did you say?
They have to get a special permit.
Yes.
For a permit for a special event.
Okay,
When you do a conservation easement with the town, or any other conservation organization,
Wow.
the uses that are, ours has, several different zones. Whatever you do and whatever provisions you do, you still have to comply with whatever local regulations apply to the property. So, our easements are as simple as we could make them. And when they restrict people as little as possible, except for not being able to put more houses on their land. So, they can still do all the things they ever did before with their land, grow things, have agricultural structures, activities, are still permitted. You can't, you can't do things that zoning won't allow you to do.
right,
People's residences, that part is not in it,
right.
not in easement.
Well, I mean, sometimes they're
But
in
now
the
we're saying
easement.
that Hoffman's could be.
Well, the residences are covered by the easement, but they're not, but it's only the land
Doesn't
that's
eliminate
eligible
development.
for the exemption.
It's just trying to minimize.
And the impact so far on the Danby's taxes are pretty minimal.
We haven't had
Well,
anybody
the-
sign up yet.
They're not insignificant.
Well, wait, we have Danby easements, conservation.
Oh, yeah, but we
Right.
have, nobody's, I don't think anybody's done this yet, right?
I don't know. I know it was a big concern for Brittany and, Wadali and her husband that they'd be able to, but I don't know whether they applied. They could have applied because we had it.
Oh,
didn't-
we wouldn't necessarily know.
No, that's right.
Okay,
But we should be able to know what the, what we're on the hook for, i.e. that means we know how much acreage is in conservation easements, and then we would know how much we're on the hook for, knowing that much land. It's 90% of that land.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a value that varies with the property, because you can have conservation easement on.
We
20
know
20
that information. We have the information, all the easements for each of those properties. We know what the value is and we know how much they get off. So we put them all together and that's what we're on the hook for. That we should know.
Right, well, we can.
Somebody should
Right.
know that right off. We should know that answer right now.
Right, I mean, the Selectmen's Department already has done this in the past, and they no longer make it, used to be when your tax bill, you get how much was for land, and how much was for.
Right, correct. So it's easy to do.
Right, essentially, the house isn't included, the land is.
Right.
Yeah,
So can we like just push this to the next meeting and ask Greg to come up with a number for us?
no, no.
No?
I
Not
wouldn't.
Greg.
He's got too many things to
Yeah.
do. No, I mean, you mean as far as what it's like costing the taxpayers of Danby?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, if we're
I
talking,
guess we'd have to get that from the
Right, would you get it
state,
from the
right?
state?
no, well, I mean, the number we could get is, if for all the properties, I mean, Jay should be able to provide us with that information.
Yeah,
For all the properties
The county guy.
that
Yeah.
are protected by conservation, what's the assessed value of the land?
right,
That's the total that will tell you if we took 90% off, because they're all permanent easements, what would that amount to?
yeah, but we don't have what the actual situation right now, because we don't even know who has applied.
But what's
would-
important is
You know,
what
We
we're on
know
that
the
for.
potential.
potentially,
But
yeah.
that's, they'll tell you the potential, because the
Right.
actual depends on who actually applies.
Okay.
But,
So what are we doing right now? CAC recommended seeking to expand the scope for tax abatement to
to
all conservation. I mean,
conservation.
I actually am in favor of expanding the scope of the tax abatement for all easements held by the town of Danby.
That's not the
That's
question.
not what that's not what the.
The
CFC
question
did.
is,
I'm not,
No, but that's what she's saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I know,
She's not
so
for
you're
that.
not in favor of that.
I am not in favor right now of including property, tax abatement for properties that have people who have conservation easements
With the land
through
trust or
some
somebody else.
other,
Some other qualified conservation organization.
that feel like that would be a whole nother,
Can of
I wanna
worms.
look into that and know,
Oh my God.
their
How much
processes
you-
and,
yeah.
you
Well, I
know,
mean,
how
you
much
get-
property, how much property in town is, that,
Okay, well, let's find out.
yeah, well, good.
So we can send that back to the CAC and
Right.
ask them to find out.
I guess, I mean, I'm not sure it they should be asked to do that, but,
Well,
Would you like to do it?
Who would have,
I
who
can
would
have,
have the
I
information?
can have Jay whether he can give us that information.
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
Jay.
that would be
Because I
fair.
think that's
Ask
the
Jay.
Justice Department's where that
Yes.
would come from.
Great,
Yep, just ask Jay, start with that.
so that's where we are now. We're looking for more information.
Yeah,
All right,
Great.
and I'll bring it back when I got the answer.
and I would also like to know the Humane Society, who are
What-
the other holders? I mean,
I don't know how we find that part out. but-
Well, he may know.
he should
He
know.
probably should
Jay-
know,
Jay
yeah.
would.
County records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
It should be a
the
record.
conservation easements are public records. so-
Right.
But it's a matter of who looks them up. Well, I can tell you.
I mean, isn't the
most of them are
Eldridge-
SLLT.
What's the Eldridge? It's not DEC, is it? What is it? Oh, I forget.
It includes, I mean, I know several of them, because we did them. When I was in Lincoln,
Right,
you know, Archdots. and-
Well, let's find out. Let's not, we've already gotten through this. But we want to find out.
Right, next item. Do we have an application from Connie Stefanski to be on the youth, commission?
And I will go ahead and move that we appoint her so that we can get to the discussion.
I think the only thing that needs to be, well,
Second,
okay,
Okay.
could you,
I got it.
do the motion, whether it's for 1 year or 2?
Nope, I couldn't.
Actually,
I'd say we might as well say it's two. She's not taking anybody's half of session. so
No, I mean,
say two.
you've got lots of spots.
Yes,
but we
and I
wanna make
can't
sure
do
to
that.
keep them balanced, so we don't end up.
I
with-
can't
Yeah.
tonight, I can't.
Well, can we make it so that whatever we have the least of, it's the other one?
Yes,
That
Yeah.
just means if she wants to stay, she has to be appointed every year
Yeah,
instead of,
yeah. But just, this means they don't expire all this, you know, we don't end up with.
that's fine with me. I don't, I,
So
Sounds
whatever-
reasonable.
Whatever we
well,
got
if
the,
it's that, then you don't make it a 1 year term.
well, it would be 1 year, because it's only, it's either
At the
1 or 2.
beginning, that means
Yeah,
when she wants to renew it.
oh, it'll be for
it
2
will
years.
be for-
but that's up to,
Right,
yes,
right,
that's
right.
up to the, because that's what they are. We tried to have them staggered and I
Right.
can't tell you what they are,
Yeah.
who's right now.
Right, so I mean,
Right.
so I just want to keep it balanced. So, I mean, it would mean that she would either be appointed for the balance of this year and then we reappoint in January, or it would be for 2 years, you know, again, it'd be like 1.5 years, because we're already half a year into that first year.
or appointed for 2.5 years.
has, Connie gone to any of the youth commission meetings
She's
or
been
anything?
going to a lot of them.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes.
good, all right.
And she's participated and she
Okay.
is a teacher and there's a lot of things that we
Cool.
talk about, yeah.
Sounds
And,
good to
you
me.
know,
Yeah.
Catherine's, response email was very helpful.
So we
Okay.
designating
So-
you to make that appointment?
So,
Well, no, it's
We-
not.
We have to
All right,
vote.
wait a minute.
Okay.
We make
It's
it.
just a question of,
Vote on it.
Well-
I'd say if we're gonna do, if you're questioning the number of time, let's make the rest of this and a full year. That's a year, so, because we're so close, we're
Correct.
halfway through.
Yep. Did you understand that?
yeah, I don't know, we can't do it though. The terms are 1 or 2 years. Well, the terms are 2 years. But we could make an initial appointment for 1 year in order to keep it balanced, if that's
How
appropriate.
about we say, let me find out, but we go ahead and say, yes, we're going to appoint her, and then I'll find out whether it has to be.
term to be
the term
determined, yeah,
Yeah,
term to be determined.
Yeah,
That's
that
hard to
sounds
say.
right, so I bring it back.
I second that we're gonna appoint this person to the youth commission for a term to be figured out.
Right?
Wait, hold on. We've got a motion and we've got a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't.
Good.
second
Pat
guess.
seconded it, right?
Yes,
2 seconds.
so.
Pat seconded it,
So,
yes.
so it's, as it stands, it's to appoint her with
I was looking for
a term to be determined.
Yeah. Cool.
Great,
Got it.
got it.
Okay, ready?
Yep,
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes,
Hunter,
Yes,
cool.
Woodworth,
yes,
Gagnon.
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and then the next big wicket. We have a town email policy, which we most recently updated in 2020. And the directive at the time, which is embodied in the policy, was that anybody who's doing town business as an appointee or elected person or staff should have a town email address. That was the, and we've been, trying for ever since to get everybody who's on a board or committee or whatever to have an email and use it for town business. And part of the reason was because we wanted to capture for the record any activity that might be relevant to, historical record and legal proceedings in the event that there's any kind of contention. It was our understanding that, if people did town business on their personal devices, using their personal emails, and we got into a situation of litigation, that they would be subject to, being searched for the information that was relevant to their position. Now we're being told that, there's a certain amount of risk associated with having town emails, every time we get a town email, for all those that have them. And not to mention the significant expense, which is an expense that we've had all along, but we've been willing to do it in the interest of, promoting collaboration. One of the main arguments for going to Zoho, and for the one before, I don't remember the name we had for a brief while.
Month or whatever.
Yeah, do you remember what it was?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, it's just true. Was that we had a platform for collaboration with the, what we call writers. Not to mention a place that we could, everybody who were, everybody living had access to Work Drive, where our documents were stored, not just the public facing ones, but the private ones as well. But it was mostly TCNS that says this is not such a great idea. And then Mariah had looked into the what others are doing, and confirmed that it's most places do not have a policy as a inclusive, as you should say, as we do. Maybe you could speak to that, Mariah.
I'm sorry, if you could speak up just a little bit. What I found was when I did an informal ask of other towns in New York is that 98% of them, only one provided email to everybody in all the volunteers, committee members. I think there was about 18 or 19 towns that responded that they do not provide email to volunteers, to committee members. Most of the towns only provide email to staff, and about half to board members. The county does, while they do provide email to the legislators who are paid, they do not provide email to any committee members. And I think they had lots and lots of committee members. They have, the county, Tompkins County has been on Office 365 for 8 years, and they have a wonderful collaboration with somebody with a Gmail account. They can give them permission to collaborate on documents. So that was different information that I found from our IT support. They were telling me that you have to have a Danby email address in order to share documents. I do not believe that's the case. And I think that we can even share documents on Google Docs if you want to work with a committee on documents. I did talk to Lauren Cottrell today, and he said that there is little to no risk of allowing people to use their personal email addresses to conduct town business. Now, this is not staff, and staff absolutely, will have their own, and anyone with a town computer, those town computers will have Office 365 loaded on them locally. So those people will absolutely have to have a town email address. But as far as committee members, volunteers, no. There is, I talked to Joel earlier about having the chairs of committees, members, having town email addresses so that they can, so that any town business that goes through the chair would be documented and held in the archives.
Huh. So what, are you including the town board when you say committees?
The town board will I would recommend the town board absolutely having town email addresses, yes.
You know,
And the only other ones I wonder about are the BZA and the planning board.
well, let's see.
I mean,
Said, elect, she
well,
said with only the
CAC is a
chairs,
committee.
I think the
The chairs of the committees.
committees and boards should, I think, have them.
but not every member of every committee.
Okay, but.
Right, there are several
committee, that's
members
one
of,
thing.
Committees and boards, everything,
Committees and boards, yeah.
Okay,
any
committee and
volunteers.
boards.
and
Well,
except chairs.
Appointees, I guess you could say.
One of the reasons that we had talked about it before was the understanding I had understood that it had to do with getting a cyber insurance policy. But we did talk with the broker for cyber insurance that said that it's not
it's
necessary
not,
What's known, but-
to have everybody have a
Oh,
town email, meaning all the committee members.
but is it a problem if you did though?
No, it's not a problem,
Either way,
right?
yeah.
More clearly.
It's just
that way.
the cost was
Huh?
one of the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's expensive having for everybody.
Yeah.
And we've had an issue all along in that we've got people who are resistant and we've got people who tried, but couldn't make it work,
right,
you know, so.
I think that's a small problem, a small part of it and can be resolved.
Mhm.
That's what I think, because I don't think that should enter into the.
Yeah.
our
Well, we were thinking we could resolve that issue with, the problem we were having with Zoho mail, you know,
Yeah, but that's,
would go away.
That's independent.
But that's an independent consideration, really.
The cost is humongous, and if it's not necessary, I don't know why we put everybody through the hassle of additional emails.
I mean, we've talked about this in the
Well,
past.
the most important thing is the MFAs. I mean, that means that
Yeah, right.
people
So-
have to do that,
Yeah.
if they're gonna conduct email. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to have, a lot of it, people have it anyway, and it's just a good idea to have multiple.
I mean,
multi-factor.
the why is enshrined in the policy. You can take a look at it. The rationale is there. You know, why did we do it in the first place? And we thought it was a good idea.
Also
But-
thought it was necessary in terms
No,
of
this
cases of
isn't.
lawsuit. But in one case, if the chairs of the committee do have an account, if there's any public business that a committee or a board or any agency is working on, then it seems like that they have emails, they should go through the chair. And then the chair will have all those resources. We don't need the resources from every single member.
Yeah, no, part of it was the, facilitate collaboration, but,
That can be done.
yeah,
That's independent of having an email account.
it can be done.
Yes.
There's a workaround.
There's a way to figure it out.
Yeah, but we'll have to revise the policy, because the policy, sets forth a vision and a rationale, which we're basically abandoning or.
Okay, so the policy needs to be revised and we need to work,
we do.
get,
So
get some advice.
So we could
as to
just,
how to
we can
do it.
agree on what we want to have happen, and we can write a policy that matches.
So it sounds like we're talking about all staff,
Yeah.
Yeah,
highway, and all the highway department?
No.
all- I mean,
We're talking about
Keith
planner,
Keith and Laura at the highway.
Yeah, what you.
Well,
our
the
key
super-
people, Yeah, well, yeah, the supervisor personnel certainly, Jack and.
Jack, Keith and
Keith and
Laura.
Laura.
What about the documents manager, Mary Ann?
Marianne?
yes,
Hmm.
she has a town computer. There's also a mechanic at the
Yes.
highway.
Nope, okay. And the mechanic has
Well, I believe there's a laptop where the mechanics work, where maybe they order parts or something.
okay, so we have like 4 highway, we have, and all the staff here,
The,
the chairs.
highway departments, the mechanics, computer is too old. He just uses that, and he doesn't have a new one. And it's too old for this. That's my
So
recollection.
the
from when they
mechanic
looked
doesn't
at
have
it.
a
Doesn't
current
need it.
town.
It's too old to
Wow.
update, you mean, to use,
Yeah.
to hook up to us.
Right, it's too old
It's okay, what it is
To count.
for, but
Work.
it's not.
you can look up parts and get
You
on
can
the
look up
internet.
stuff, yeah. So
If
the
you'd like,
BCA
I can put together a list for you.
That would be good, yes.
Cool, okay.
Yeah, we don't have.
Sounds
Because there's
good.
also quite a few shared mailboxes, but But yeah, what's the guy's name in the
Darryl.
shop?
That there.
Daryl?
Yeah,
Oh, Daryl, yeah. Daryl Rutledge, yeah, there's a, yeah, that's an in-house computer.
So Mariah we'll get together a list of,
But we don't need one like, for instance, Marianne Kozak, who's our pond director.
no,
Or
right.
or for
But that's what.
David McCarthy who shovels the
So it
snow.
sounds like Mariah will,
Mariah's gonna get.
generate a
so we
list.
Don't have to.
Yes.
spend time making estimates.
And so-
guesses.
But I think we
is-
should be, but I think we could agree that board members and committee and board chairs,
so the chair of the BZA, the chair of the planning board.
yeah. chair-
And are you
chair of
counting the
committee.
CAC as a board or is it,
It's a committee, but I mean, it's a committee with the council, but.
okay, so the chair of the CAC.
I would think.
What about the youth commission?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. If it's a, you know, a very
Jamie.
appointed group, but not all members. So anyway, it's not.
Will people need training and, you know, the potential for foil and potential for personal computers being,
Let me, we work with that.
okay,
That is the question.
Yeah,
and
may I
we
express
do-
a concern with respect to
Just
foil?
stop. Could you please not,
I don't think
Stop.
it's unreasonable to let Ted make
I
a
do.
comment.
I
We've already
do.
got The information we're going,
Let's-
because we're leaving it until
we need
next time,
to
so we can
move.
get it in writing or privilege of the floor.
he can, we're not making any decision right now. You can do it
No,
at privilege of the floor of the next meeting. And so you're gonna check out,
Other
your name is,
You're operating on incorrect information. And I'd just like to correct. what
stop.
you said.
Will we stop?
why? What's wrong with letting Ted make a comment?
Well, then let's make everybody make a comment.
And anybody else who wants to,
I'm not interested.
go ahead, Ted.
Right,
Well, I'm
Thank
not
you.
listening, but that.
I'm not,
Oh,
no.
God. That
Thank
was
you. I will be very brief.
That's- I-
My concern
This
is
is-
with a statement reported by Mariah. It's not her problem. She just reported it. That someone said that there's no danger in having town people who are conducting town business not be on the town email system. You must have all town business recorded for FOIL purposes on the email system. So the question becomes, who is conducting town business? And you've certainly pointed out some people who probably aren't, but members of boards and committees, I think you'd be in trouble if you didn't record their information. Thanks.
That would mean all sorts of other cities and
That was
Tompkins
really
County are
helpful.
in trouble. I think the
Okay.
major point is that one plan would be that anybody that is doing official business in any town or committee or commission, when they do an email, they should include the chair.
Chair, and then
If
you
the
capture.
chair is included, then we have a complete record of all emails.
Yeah.
But we don't have to get it from everybody's site, the same email
Okay.
from 4 or 5 at different sites.
And as you pointed out, Pat, the reality is that, you know, this is not done by the March, any place else, so that clearly, if it were clear and present danger, it would be done. So I think it can be done, and as long as the chair is included in the communication. I'm just wondering about the collaboration part of it. And as a member of the CAC, you know, we're working on coming up with a conservation easement. We're working on developing a logging law. Those things happen in committees.
There are ways to do that. Mariah mentioned a couple.
Yeah,
So we can
that's-
look at
that's a-
technical details in terms of
Exactly,
that.
that needs to be clarified so that we can tell people how to collaborate.
There's gonna be a lot of how-to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not there.
yeah, that's right. So what I'm looking for is clarity about what are we trying to accomplish. And I think we got it with regard to chairs of standing, you know, groups, committees, and staff, mostly, as a starting place, and board members. And we just need a craft of policy that says that, has some sort of underlying rationale for why, and how you go about participating as a member of a board or a committee that doesn't have a town email.
The only thing I want to say is that, town business isn't really done on town email. I mean, there's discussion of questions, maybe clarification of items. Business that is like developing policy or any of the things that the town board does here in a board meeting should be here in the board meeting, not done on the emails anyway.
Yeah.
So that should be known, a known
But
quantity.
they're committees.
Part of the training.
So informational background kind of stuff, fine. But in terms of like forming coalitions or, whatever else might be taking place to gather support for a certain, that should not be taking place on the emails. I just don't think so. That's, so that's,
There are committees, not,
right, but committees should meet
They bring this thing.
in person. They shouldn't be meeting, talking about their committee business on email.
well, the committee,
Wait a minute, because the results of what a committee does come before,
it comes back.
that comes to the town board or to the
whatever
planning
group.
board or,
Right, yes,
right. And that's in the public meeting.
That's in the public.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the
not-
committee
I'm
itself,
confused.
The committee's report comes to the.
but how they conduct themselves, I mean, right now, Don Schoffler and I and Jonathan Zisk are working on the logging law. A lot of communication by email.
Yeah.
Back and forth. We may have we may be working on a Word document and send it back and forth, and play with it. We have an occasional meeting, all three of us. But that's how this gets done. Same thing with there's a team of people working on each conservation easement. It can be one person, but it can be three persons, even four persons, and if so, they communicate among themselves and back and forth with the potential donor, in order to craft the easement. That's all. I mean, that was done with, at least one person has a town email, so it gets captured, but.
So then everybody should be included, anyone who be having those kinds of discussions should be included in the town email. So that means all the members who would be going back and
You
forth.
want to save
See,
the emails, but you don't have to save 10 copies of every email. So not, if you have 10 people on a committee and you got 10 emails going back and forth from all 10 members, you don't need 10 copies of those emails. You need one. If all those emails go through the chair, we have a copy.
Have a
So
copy.
if there's legal issues, we have all that documentation.
Except if the members are talking amongst themselves.
Then the guideline is, if you're doing official business, be sure you copy the chair,
chair.
which is appropriate anyhow. The chair should be copied on all those things and know what's
Yeah,
going
but-
on.
This is true.
Yeah, but then if you have 3 people, then it has to be a meeting.
No. Not on committees. That's town board, not on committees.
Right, well, you won't get it all, that's all. I mean, if you and I talk in a telephone conversation, there's no record.
Well, that's the thing that's so bizarre about this is that, we say, hello, good morning, how you doing? What do you think about this thing?
Yeah.
And so that's not legislated, that's
Well, that's
how
background work,
public
yeah.
discourse occurs.
Right.
So I don't
And-
understand what the difference is that emails in order to catch us doing this or,
Well,
they.
having been party
Loyal.
to lawsuits, I know that if you're a lawyer looking to compile, make a case against the town, you get asked for all communications, they'll ask for your telephone conversations and say, sorry, I didn't record it.
Right.
But they'll look for whatever information you've got.
So our
It's
personal,
to our
our
business.
personal emails are still vulnerable.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. So Mariah's gonna, what are we gonna do, Mariah?
Work on a list.
Get a list
I'm
of all.
gonna get a list of committee chairs and staff, and you can compare it with the original list and take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mariah's we're waiting on Mariah for further, direction and also what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and I'll try and get more information again,
Mhm.
to make it clear for us about the cybersecurity end of it.
Yeah, we'll have to have some sort of instruction thing for.
Oh, that definitely, that's like,
How to, if you're a committee or board member.
oh, that part, yeah.
How to
Well,
do-
that would be in the policy, whatever we
Yeah,
come
that's
up with
right.
the policy.
But that's
but
what I
this-
mean, we need to clarify so we can put it in the policy. Right now, the policy, we want to capture everything. Y'all.
Well, it
y'all
also
need to-
says town attorney on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, that was a little strange. I don't see what the town attorney needs to tell me. Okay. So that will come back when it's ready.
Next item.
Next item, yes. And I think Mariah's in the best position to speak to this codification question.
Do
If
you have any questions?
I do.
So general code, they provided a quote, Steve Courtright is the real champion of this. It would be very helpful, and I had someone in my office just today saying, you know, what changes have been done to this local law? We need to incorporate the amendments to the law into the law. This is not exactly my bailiwick, not that I can't learn. But it would be very helpful to have these laws codified. I'm sorry that it's so much money, but there it is. You had a question?
So it was like $16,000, something like that, right, to do it?
Yes,
Right, and then the $1,200 a year just to.
correct.
And then corrections or additions are in addition to that.
Yes, when you have a new law, in order for it to be incorporated into the volume of laws that you have, it really depends on the size of that law, whether it's 2 pages or 19 pages.
Per page.
Right, it's,
It's $24 a page, right?
I'm not entirely sure. Is that,
That's
did
what
you
it
read
says.
that?
Yeah.
$24, okay. I think that's getting all the links off that page and linking them to other laws and other documents. I also understand that you can, let's say, pass 2 or 3 local laws over the course of 6 months, and then pay to have them incorporated into the volume, as opposed to doing it at the time. It's really at the discretion of the board when those new laws get incorporated.
But there's no bundling rate or anything, like, so it's not like it's cheaper if you're waiting to do a bunch together.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a budgetary matter. I think, if you pass 19 local laws in 1 year and none the next, maybe you could, have some of those be incorporated in the next budget year.
But it wouldn't be updated.
Well, that's right. Yeah. I did remark that when I looked at what towns have it, in Tompkins and adjoining county. In Tompkins County, the municipalities that have it are all considerably bigger than
Yeah.
Danby. You know, the town of Ithaca, the city of Ithaca, Lansing, Dryden, and Ulysses.
Can I make a note?
Yeah.
Some of the towns in Cuyahoga County that I noticed are much smaller.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a
Spencer.
village of Meridian, I think it's
Oh, that's.
300 people. I was very surprised to see
Yeah,
that
but it's been
place.
that kind of.
But town of Brutus.
Brutus.
Brutus is in there,
Spencer too, I mean.
Well,
Steve
yeah,
said
Toyota
Spencer.
County, Spencer's in.
Yeah.
Spencer has it. The entire Lewis County, every town in Lewis County is getting it.
I just want to ask the same question that Leslie asked last time. First, is that there's an initial fee of 16,000. But I thought there was another fee, a yearly fee.
Yes, that's right.
Like
Yeah.
1,200, it's like 1,200.
1,200 a year, and that was just cover,
That's just
Big-
annual maintenance,
Basically.
annual maintenance.
so they would update it every year then?
No, that's just, well.
Or
that's
there
just
another
annual
fee on top of
maintenance.
that?
There's another thing on top of that.
There's another fee per,
That's a
per
maintenance
page.
fee, which just, because they've got to have, it's a web hosted thing, so you're paying for the site where you can access that information.
There's also a $600 annual fee if you want to, which if you're gonna do it, it would only make sense to do this fee. They call it track back, which means you'd have not only access to what the current law is, you can see what changes,
Right,
the history of it. So that's,
But the history only starts with when you codify.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but they're not gonna go back and create a history for what already exists. But going forward, you would have. a
and then
history of it.
making things general neutral is about 600. I don't know if that's annual or whether
One-shot
it's
fee.
just once. Well, they'd have to keep it up, right? I mean,
What are you talking
they
about?
wouldn't just make it gender neutral and then
Oh,
not have the
But
new
that's-
stuff be
that's
gender
also
neutral.
optional here, not
It didn't
like
say,
do that.
didn't say how, whether it was annual or just one time.
well, I mean, it would be to make that which exists already gender neutral. Presumably, you would make any newly adopted laws gender neutral, so it wouldn't have to be changed.
They actually will do that. They actually, I mean, they will make sure things are written in certain ways, in the format and everything, so.
when they codify the law.
Uh,
Well, I mean, when they go.
When they
back
put
and
stuff
look at it,
in.
like, they want to make sure that they're consistent.
When
with
they put
state
it in.
laws, and that there's not inconsistencies in our laws, in which case they'll point them out and we can remedy them so that when it's codified, it all makes sense.
What's our budget any given year?
What, total budget?
Yeah,
Like, this is a number I should know.
yeah,
Laura can probably,
You're looking at in what line item are you thinking of, Paul, when you were mentioning that?
no, just overall budget.
what the overall budget is.
The overall
800.
budget for the entire town, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
You want highway plus general?
Yeah.
I didn't copy that page.
I'm getting my hands on it, so I can be as accurate.
I have a reason for asking this question.
I will tell you that the budget, which includes general and highway,
Yeah.
water sewer is not included, but general and highway. $2,754,000.
3 million.
Another useful way to think about it, Paul, is what amount of money requires a 1% increase in the levy?
I didn't follow that.
But not,
When it comes down to the budget, it's like, how much money can we add? Because, well, this is the one.
With changing the levy, which is our taxation. Yeah, that wasn't really why I was asking this question. I wanted to know sort of the scale of doing this
Uh-huh.
is in our budget. What small fraction based, if we were, if we had a budget of $1 million or even $100,000, $100,000 means that we're spending a lot of money for something, right?
Mhm.
On this scale, it doesn't seem like that much money. And I totally, I like the idea of supporting our staff. And every one of the staff members really wants this to happen, to make their lives easier, to make everything accessible. And at this cost, like initially I was like, oh no, this is too much money. But then looking at it that way, it's not a personal budget. This is a townwide budget and make our staff more efficient and more responsive.
And we could use ARPA money to do it.
Well, cool.
and
Yeah.
access to-
We've got
For
a
the
list
public.
of things.
I know,
access to
yeah.
On the ARPA list.
Okay.
I mean, I'd also, I know I asked for the specifics about cost, but I also think there's a question about staff time also and who does what. You know, it'd be good if Mariah could, if somebody could check into, you know, what the workload for Mariah is. Or I assume it'd be Mariah who would be sending the information on. And if you don't send the information on every time something's changed, immediately your code is outdated. It's not current.
But
So-
if they have to do it here anyway, if we have to here in-house, if we don't do this outside, they have to know that, and anybody comes ask Mariah, she has to go find it anyway. She has to go and look it up every time somebody comes, which means it's more work than one-shot deal sending it to somebody else to do it. And
I
keep it.
didn't follow you. I just think it would be
You know,
worth it
keep
to
up.
know, for Mariah to
Yes,
know
right.
exactly what it would mean, how, you know, what's the process? Do you just send Todd stuff? If, you know, the last meeting, we changed a local law, well, we made a new local law. Does that get sent, who sends that in? Does
Excuse
that
me.
mean?
Well,
we-
it gets sent to New York State for sure. So I would
Okay.
just copy Todd.
Okay.
No additional time.
So you sent,
And I believe it will
Okay.
show up as a law that we have passed, but it won't be incorporated until we spend the money for them to, you know, look at every word and make sure every word is linked to other laws, and that incorporation process is intense, my understanding. But no, if we just pass a new law, I send it to Albany, I send it to Todd, and then Todd will put it up.
And we don't pass that many laws, it's such a big deal.
well,
Well, that could be an argument
mean-
against it, but I think the
Well, I mean,
arguments for it are
keeping it
better.
updated isn't that big. a deal.
Right,
It's
keeping
not
it
what I'm saying.
updated. I think having it is a good, big deal.
I just think we should know what the workload's gonna be, that's all.
Well, she just told us what the workload is.
Okay, we
Send
passed
it
a
to
law, I mean, so Mariah,
the copies.
when is the law that we passed a law at the last meeting, when does that get sent to the state?
I sent it to the state. Although I realize today that I sent the resolution to the state.
Right.
So, you know, the law really needs to be since we amended the law number 1 of 22, a lot more work needs to happen. So, that was just my bad.
Oh,
You know.
Yeah.
So I'll work with Greg to incorporate that law, and then I since it's an amendment to law number 1 of 22, I think we'll need to send that law as well. Amended.
Amended,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. You know, this is the law as amended.
So, Greg, please take center stage, sir. Dude. Why is it so advantageous to us to codify our laws and in terms of accessibility and or, I mean, we're all trained professionals here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone's gonna have a different answer for why it's important, but from my standpoint, I mean, it's not even just about my ability to search these laws, which is one thing, and I've
It's just frustrating.
and I can tell my own sort of stories of
Yeah.
finding a law after the fact,
Yeah.
which is really you know, problematic, as you can tell from my position of informing people about, oh, here are the steps that you need to follow, you know, make sure to adhere to this law, and here's this law. If I'm finding a law, you know, a week later that they should be made aware of, and they're already making decisions about, you know, some project they're working on, it puts me in an awkward position to say, by the way, you also need to adhere to this law that I just, you know, found. The other is just, I'm always sending people the zoning ordinance, the full zoning ordinance through email. or I'm trying to cut out pages and say, you know, look at this page here. So just in terms of easiness of providing the zoning law or other codes, I can just give them a link and, you know, a specific link of where exactly they're trying to find it. On that, Danby has a new interactive online zoning map that was just created. It's hosted by the county and I'm writing about it for the newsletter. And what this map can do is just very, very basic right now. You could just search your property and you can find out what zoning district am I in. With an interactive or with an online code, we could then not only just show people you're in rural one, there could be a link that brings you right to that code and says everything you need to do and break and go down from there. Maybe say setbacks and it just go right to the code and they can tell your setbacks. I want to go through this process. So this online map in the code software, the general code platform can just kind of talk to each other and work with each other. Additionally, I guess I'll just keep going, is that if we are going to look at another type of software in the future for permitting software, we've brought that up a few times, to make permits more streamlined online, that only works with this type of code software. So those are the conversations that we had with people about getting permitting technology, and then everyone said, oh well, you need your codes online in order for us to actually have them talk to each other. So it's just one of these things. It just makes life a little easier. I mean, certainly you could kind of go about every day with just having, I mean, I have a code book, but some of them, as I've said, I've found them in the Laserfish online of, you know, I didn't know that a certain law existed until later, and just I feel like it's slowly corroborating all the laws into my own place in my own desktop of where I know that they are. To me, that just seems very repetitive and just cumbersome. And I can't imagine what it's like for the average resident or somebody who's looking to invest in their property, maybe and do, you know, actual sort of development work on their property and try to figure out what kinds of laws are there.
That's great. Thank you.
That's my sort of initial take on it. Yeah, and it is expensive up front. I think that the best analogy, you know, for this ongoing maintenance is like you buy your car, you still have to register it and insure it every year. So there's always going to be those costs onto it. So thank you for considering. It would be helpful.
Are we convinced?
I'd like to add that Todd Metcalf is more than willing to come to the next board meeting and answer any questions if you'd like.
I'm in favor of using the service. I think it's important for the town.
We do too.
And I think it's important for our employees. We're making it hard for our employees to find crap. Or not find it, as the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the effort that Sarah and Leslie did a couple of years ago was a huge help. In terms of, you know, what we've got and putting it all in one place. But incomplete, and then it needs to be updated. So the nice thing about this is that, you know, it happens as you go along.
Well, and I think it's done in a uniform way so that whoever is town board, whoever is an employee or a staff member in the future, it's still, this is just done in a uniform way. I mean, I know when I wanted to look up that law, I was just curious about the special permit and I went to Ulysses, I just typed that in and bingo, it came. It was like, wow.
So what do you think, Leslie?
I don't know, I'm still worried about the time but, you know, I'm just one person, so it doesn't.
No, one very
You know,
special person.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
The only thing that
So I'm not gonna worry, you know.
I'm for it also. I think that we
I don't
should
think
move
we have
forward
a
with
handle
this.
on, you know,
The
when
only
it
thing
says
we might-
$24 page, you know,
Yeah.
does that mean when we change something in the zoning, is it gonna move, you know, I just, it's just little things that I end up worrying about as far as cost. And maybe it'd be worth talking to somebody in Ulysses, maybe reaching out to, I assume maybe the town clerk in Ulysses is the one who maybe they would have information on, how hard it is or how much time it takes or how, what's the process for getting the information to Todd?
I do know that the code officer for Spencer is, his name is Steve Courtwright, and we might know, might be able to ask him some questions.
But I don't know, does he, well, I don't know,
He uses it there in Spencer.
Steve uses
Yeah,
it there.
he uses it,
Yeah.
but
Correct.
yeah, I guess you could ask him, but
And I can,
find out who actually participates, who's the one who, I assume the code officer doesn't do the actual work of sending the changes in.
Yeah, most of the changes, I
That's
think,
the
will be
stuff I'm worried about. That's,
fall between, Greg and Mariah.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah, one of us will get it.
yeah, right.
So let me just say that, like, there's been an offering for this fella. I forget his name, to come in and give us a quick rundown, right? On
Todd,
God. Yeah. So do we need to do that? I mean, it just seems like we should dot our i's and cross our t's and at least have him make his presentation. You say no?
I mean, I want the nuts and bolts of how does it, I don't want to hear from Todd. I mean, I've talked with Todd a lot.
Because
I don't want
he's
to,
the salesperson.
I want to hear from somebody from Ulysses or Spencer who actually does the sending the information off and what kind of, what's the billing, how, that's all I want to know that before I were to say yes. I mean, I'm just one person, so it's not a big
So
deal.
I would honor that request.
Yeah, me too.
So that next meeting, we can have someone here. And,
Or the answer.
Well, we don't have to have somebody here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
just
should
like,
we just, say, give Leslie the space to, call somebody in Spencer or in Ulysses and say, how does this work for you?
does that feel good to you?
not good.
And
Man,
then
it's
next meeting
smart.
is
It's a
2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah, well, it's June 3rd, whatever it is.
Okay,
Okay.
ish.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
So we will, bring it up again. Speaking of ARPA things. We should spend a little time on that.
can we do this in pieces?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think we should, first piece, I think we should, use it for the ramp. So I move that we use ARPA funding for the town hall ramp.
Okay. Okay, just so you know, Zach,
That, the last thing.
No,
you can-
right, Zach can't do it until the fall.
right.
So just so you know,
That,
And we don't
that's
have-
better, that,
We don't have it fleshed out in terms of how much money it's gonna be yet, but Paul's working on coming up with a set of specs that we can
right,
get money.
I'll bring that next
get an
meeting,
estimate with.
yeah,
pictures.
we did have an estimate from the
Yeah.
past of 7,000, so I assume it's
Right.
in the same neighborhood.
That's with no labor. This guy's gonna,
Ah, okay.
right,
Well, then there's more to talk about because we might want to incorporate changes to the parking lot. Because there'll have to be some of that in order to accommodate the parking spaces for the.
we can do that next meeting.
Next meeting.
Yeah, well, that'll all be in place.
But, so what the
So
board
handicap
should know-
accessibility
Right,
to
Yeah.
to the building.
entry, yeah,
So what the board should know is that the committee, recommendation is that we make the main entry as opposed to having a handicap entry over here.
correct.
So the committee preference was to have the ramp not be the main entry, but that the main entry be stairs. With the ramp, going off to the
2 parking
the
spaces.
east of the 2 parking spaces.
But you'll have a drawing next.
I have a drawing,
Yeah,
Then it's much easier to see than trying to visualize it from.
correct.
right, and then, what I'd like to see us do is to have a site plan, at least for that whole part of the property, so you can see how it relates to the parking and the parking area in general,
Okay,
and the
I'm
plan for it.
gonna do that for you.
And like, and maybe we'll meet in between, but we'll bring it back the next time.
Yep,
Mhm. So.
Okay, so that motion has been withdrawn?
no,
There wasn't a
There wasn't a
motion.
motion.
I just
Yeah.
said, I think number one on the list, we should do the
Actually,
ADA
there was a
compliance. ramp.
Well,
I did move back.
yeah, she did, but
Oh, I didn't,
we should.
okay, yeah, withdraw it.
Yeah.
so do we have to do this ARP, whatever, money?
Soon.
Yeah,
Well, we
we
have
need
to-
We need to do it soon,
It has to be
yes,
spent.
but we have to do it all, spend all the money, or we can we earmark?
Yeah, what we need to do is we have to have the money committed by the end of the year.
Right,
So we
Committed
can
means
commit
sign
by-
contracts or spend, either way, either one works, right?
Okay, so
you
we
know,
have to-
I'm back to this idea that highway is like the biggest part of our town budget.
Yeah.
And
We can
they've got
spend it.
requests,
Yeah.
and this money could easily go
Yeah,
to like at least 3/4 of that to them.
Yeah,
And just
Fine.
earmark it off, we have, this money we have to spend anyway. Okay? What?
there's other things we need to do too. I mean,
Correct, but then that could be coming out of the funds we just saved. And we're not under the gun.
you could see it that way. I mean,
Huh.
but it amounts
For all
to,
we're spending the money, it doesn't make any difference whether you take it this part or this part. The
Correct.
Money coming out, so it doesn't matter
Yes,
which way you say it.
that's what I'm saying, because
but,
ARPA,
but would we spend the money
Yeah.
unless we had it?
there's some things that probably wouldn't get done.
So, I mean, yes, I mean, you got $300,000 to
I
spend
mean, one way or another.
one way or another, but that $300,000 is money that we can invest in doing things which we might otherwise have to take years to plan to incorporate into our budget because it's a lot of money. We can't just spend it on something that we ultimately would have done and then act as if we still have $300,000 to spend someplace else.
I would like to say that I think we also should include the South Hill Rentway easement purchase is,
I think we already did
We
that,
did that.
but we
got
but
$5,000 already.
$5,000 towards the seven, about 8,000. So we got, it's just about $3,000 left over.
3,000.
So so to what's on the list that got recently added was the fire hydrants for the water district.
Right, and those
Leslie
are,
suggested we maybe even didn't want to do the shed.
Right,
or
the
office
building. So how many fire hydrants are there?
3.
So there's
So it's
3, so
about-
7,000 times 3.
Yes, well, it might be more like $10,000, but anyway, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 or it was on here.
Well, the
suggested as
estimate was
27, but
7,270 estimate.
yeah, but how old is it? And, until we actually get real numbers for not just the hydrant, you buy them, but then you gotta get them installed,
okay, I'm just trying to get the process. We can pick and choose right now,
Right.
tonight, for 3 or 4 projects.
Right.
And say, we're gonna allocate this much money towards, right? So we just need the hydrants, we wanna do the hydrants, we gotta pick the dollar amount.
we don't have to have the dollar
We don't have
amount
to have
now.
a dollar amount.
We can have this
We're
list
guessing
that we
it's
want, because
10,000
we know it's not gonna be
each.
over the amount. And then we can have finally vote at the next meeting. But
Right.
these are, we want dollar values, detailed dollar values for the next meeting on all of these things.
Okay,
Well, we might have for all, but we do need to be focusing in on what we actually.
Right.
want to spend.
We don't have a figure yet. Merrill was getting an estimate on the building.
Right, and that's, we'll do it if we have to,
Right. I think we need to look at the solar arrays.
yeah, we're already on that, they're gonna look into.
We
well,
don't have the
Some money
information.
saved up, but we don't have it all.
I was gonna say, there was a thing about the inspection.
Right,
And
You were authorized.
he did not have insurance to do this, but why don't we just have Renovus do it?
what?
Have Renovus do it. Renovus install it.
Yes, they can do it.
Just have him do it. And we need to agree to have Renovus do it so that Laura or whoever can contact them, or I'll contact them.
Well,
Take
we
them out and
already-
inspect
we
it.
already gave you the authority to find somebody.
How much are they gonna
They did
charge
that? You
us?
guys did that?
How much are they gonna charge us?
Yeah,
That's the question, isn't it?
Who are we buying it from?
We bought it from Renovus. They
Okay, if
installed-
we're gonna buy them, if we're gonna give them $75,000, are they the ones that we want to have inspecting this to tell us whether or not it's worth the 75,000?
No, no, but
No, they aren't,
no, they're not that.
they're not the owners, yeah, they just installed it, they are not the owners.
Oh, okay. Who are we actually buying this from? What organization?
I used to do that, but it's in the bookkeeping. Because you send out the bill every,
Sun Venture,
Sunvestment?
some investment. yeah,
Sunvestment,
Sunvestment's right.
Correct.
Oh,
so Renova put it in for some investment.
And no, it was part of an overall contract that Sunvestment is the owner.
Yeah.
We said that we would pay such and such. We included in there, there's a provision that we wanted to be able to buy this in 10 years.
Yeah.
And we wanted to buy it at a very specific amount, which is in the contract.
Yeah.
That's what that $70,000 is.
Yeah.
Right now, Sunvestment owns it. There's some state money that was involved with this. We pay for electric bills. We pay for that production of electricity. So
Yeah.
instead of paying NYSEG, we pay Sunvestment
Every month.
every month.
That's pretty, that's
Right.
contractual.
so the
rate.
solar array is around $70,000.
Correct.
So we just need to figure out whether it's worth, what shape it's in and whether it's a good investment.
Right, you were looking.
Okay,
Marissimo, I will tell you, Marissimo, who does this for a living, had also kind of
Right.
volunteered to say he'd come out and take a look at it.
Right.
Who's Mauricio?
Mauricio Medina,
he works,
Yeah.
lives on Comfort Road.
the other candidate for town board, remember that?
It is, he does have,
He has expertise.
yes.
He has expertise in this area.
I mean, Jim may actually know somebody who, would
Well,
be
I'm
good.
sure Jim is here, we can ask him.
Well, we both thought that
They both made recommendations, same.
Petty Ann would be the guy to do
Oh,
it,
okay, so,
because he was he was the
Right, but.
Yes, Jim.
I'm
Tatum's.
awake, I'm awake. Yeah, Dave didn't have the insurance to cover it. Dave today, and we contacted him. He was waiting to see if his insurance would cover it or not. But they didn't want to hang us up anymore. So they said, if you wanted to find somebody else in the meantime, go ahead. So,
And
Mauricio,
then I got an email from him too, Jim, that said they do not have.
okay.
that.
Mauricio, I think he used to do it for himself. He used to work for Performance Systems for a long time. And then he works for BOCES now, I believe, but I don't think he does it for a living anymore.
Right, he's not, and he doesn't have insurance.
he wouldn't.
Probably he wouldn't have
Yeah.
insurance to cover a liability for him to give an actual estimate. He might be able to give like a friendly quote kind of thing, but not back it up. He wouldn't put it on paper and say, I'm gonna, say this is what it is. Because he would have insurance to cover that, I assume.
Be the best option.
Right.
I mean, all we're looking for is an assessment of its.
An assessment of its condition.
Whether it's worth. there's
Well,
something
To have
$1,000.
somebody, to have
What
somebody,
price
a
should we
third
give
party
in
look
and-
at it.
I'll go down and talk to Renovus tomorrow.
Okay,
Good.
And if that's not a go, then I'm gonna go back to Jim and then I'll
There's
call
another-
you guys.
There's another company in Elmira we could possibly use as well.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
What's the name of it? Oh, well, I'll contact you.
Yeah, just contact me and I'll find out.
We'll try Renovus first though, right, Jim?
Sure.
He said
On your
Jim.
list.
I thought the new roller for 175,000 for highway, that's something they've been wanting.
Yeah, I think of the highway project, the most important one to me is the drainage work around the building.
Yeah, because that
Yeah,
building
highway land.
underwater.
If we don't have a number yet.
Estimated about 25,000,
Yeah.
and that's with us doing the work.
You said 25,000.
About 25,000 in materials and stuff in order to do.
So
That's what-
25
Yeah.
for parking lot and a new roller is 175.
Parking lot. Oh, that was right.
175 for the new roller? Yeah.
175.
That's.
It's two
We still have the
7.
codification on that list.
Yeah, and codification is on this list.
Yeah.
We should consider for next, I would put that on the list as a priority as well.
Need to do.
What was it? Which one?
Codification.
I didn't hear.
Codification.
Where is it on the?
Yes,
Under
codification, and that's 15,000, right?
Well, it's more than that.
16.
Well, it's more than that.
It's more than that.
It's
Keeps
16.
growing.
It's 16 plus, this is probably includes
Another 2,000,
first year.
some 18,000,
Set
I
up.
guess, at least.
I love this meeting. I'm so glad that it's moving forward.
I think that's it. Is that it? I mean, is that?
We're up
Like
to like
20?
we're up to 296,000 now at this point.
We
Uh,
have 321,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
321,
so now you're talking
373.
about- That doesn't include the stuff for your building, for your ramp. Or
Oh.
whatever you wanted to do. I know he wanted something in his office to
I
block.
think the other thing is we have put money away for the,
So
solar
there's some
things.
more- there's
So
Right.
some money, so it depends on.
That's
whether
right, we do have
that-
some money.
We can use all the ARPA money for this and that gives us an overhead for using other money for like the highway, so. So however we decide it comes from, we have that extra money there too.
Right.
But if you
Yeah,
use it, if you
sure.
use the, well, although is it a dedicated reserve?
No, it's not.
Okay. Then
We did
don't
not
have
do
to.
it that way.
That's a good reason
Yep.
not to.
We did not do it for that reason.
So we could use the ARPA money for all of it,
Could use it for all of it and that frees up money for other things.
yes.
That's exactly what I've been thinking.
Yes.
And it kicks us out from under the gun.
Yes, so this gives us about enough for the details, taking all this with the detail, the descriptions and the cost. We should be able to have a decision made next meeting.
Okay, so we have 4 items.
We're getting close.
Solar panels.
Trails.
Parking lot,
And the trails,
trail, which is how much?
What?
the
Trail,
first-
3,000?
Right.
3,000?
Yeah, but I mean, it's only like 3 because we're getting the money. for-
Right, we're getting
Grant.
5.
Yes, yeah, no, the remainder, yes.
Fire hydrants are 30,
Codification software,
7.
What
the
about,
highway department, the driveway, all
Three.
the
Parking area,
parking area.
what about the
We
other,
have the
what about the other
West-
software?
Can I finish this? with-
Hold on.
West
parking
End,
area is how much?
20, that was 25,000.
25,000, right?
And then we had the West End fire hydrants, which we didn't have a complete price for, so we need details on that. And then the new roller was in there, the
Right, 175.
Well, without the new building figure, we're already at 328
Right,
and we only have 321.
but again, we do have, if we're using the entire money, this money, ARPA money for the purchase of the solar arrays.
Right.
We have that money set aside for
Right.
that can be used for. other
Well, we've
things as
already, I mean, I thought the 70 is taken into account how much
No.
we've already saved,
No.
isn't it?
No, that's the full.
How much have we
cost.
saved already?
About
How much have
40,
we saved? 15?
45.
It's in reserve, yeah.
About
It's in
40 or
reserve.
45.
Okay,
Yeah, 40 to 45, yeah.
well, then we shouldn't be saying, okay, 40.
But we could use all the ARPA money for that, and then we could have the 45 for something else.
Yes, right.
So the 45 is not designated for that at
No,
all?
It is not.
It can be used for
No.
anything?
Yes.
That's right. We just sort of budgeted for a certain amount each year. I'll get the exact total for you.
This is a not, it's technically not a reserve account.
So that could
It's just an
maybe go for the
allocated
building.
Portion of the fund balance.
Yes.
That could maybe go for the water district building.
That's right. That could go for that,
Okay.
or that could go for your ramp. If it's some of the stuff that you want to
Oh, we
have.
already got the ramp in here.
Yeah, the wrap side.
Okay.
What about the permitting software?
Isn't that part of the
The
codification?
what?
No.
No, it's a separate item.
The what?
Permit.
Yeah,
Are there any numbers with that?
no,
No.
so we might need to get it. But a fair amount of work has already been done, though, investigating options for
A lot of
permitting
work's
code.
been done. Yeah, I mean, if we don't, yeah, I mean, I think if we don't have the numbers, you know. There were a lot of companies that we interviewed. 5 or 6 of them over the last 6 months. Their prices all range from 5,000 to 20,000. I don't think that again, because the message was we can't do this permitting software until you.
Non-town question, Pam.
What?
Hey, come on over when you're ready. Whoops, sorry, guys.
You gotta mute yourself.
Just,
So, yeah,
We can't do it till we do codification.
yeah, the codification is more priority right now.
Oh, that's right, because this doesn't work unless you have the certification.
Right,
Oh, right,
so I mean,
right, you said that.
we all ideally would also advocate for permitting software. We haven't. We are not as far along with that process, I think, as just all confirming that we want.
But we probably could be before the end of the year.
Probably, yeah, oh, absolutely. I
I mean,
think-
we've got
I
to
think
go
soon.
to 31st.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
the
know.
money.
You
We've
buy
got all the
it, so
I
money.
mean, is there anything
All this other
like
things
that
already
that we
takes
could get
care of all
money
that.
from somewhere
I
else?
think we need to, these are our priorities right now. We need to get the details and the total costs on all this for the next meeting, and then we can decide if there's other things we want to add in later.
So we need to find out about the solar array, and I would
Yeah,
like
that's
to
good.
find out about the water district building estimate.
Well, I'm not sure about how far along they are.
What? That, well,
Well,
we need
I don't
to
have
find,
trouble finding time to, check it out. but-
well, then if she can't, then somebody else should.
Who's going to the next meeting? It's June coming up.
That was interesting.
They were.
Water district committee.
Yeah.
I love that we're all basically agreed about spending this money quickly. Not that, I mean, but we generally agree on all the things we're gonna spend it on. So that's great, and I'm ready and prepared to go.
And I will
forward
go,
with this.
sorry. I will look into what it is gonna take. So for the next meeting, we'll know. I'll look into what it's gonna take. For whatever, documents we have to do, whatever it is we have to do to get that turned in so that they've got it and it's sitting there with good estimates. Do they need estimates? Do they need exacts? We'll find out all the details.
Okay.
That's for the solar.
Yeah,
For
well,
anything.
for
No,
the,
for everything.
they
ARPA.
say they need it to be committed by the.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out exactly the reporting requirements for committing that.
Okay.
Okay,
Another
That'll
thing to
yes.
mind, when we buy the solar arrays,
Yeah.
we are not gonna make that monthly payment to Sun, whatever the hell. this
right,
is.
we don't pay
That's right.
utilities, basically, we don't pay any utilities.
Down, so that will be a decrease in cost too, which means we will have additional funds for some of these other things as well.
And I think it's in the contract that we can buy it ahead of this. There's no penalty for buying it out sooner.
Well,
Hey.
But isn't it up in time for like if we can make a commitment?
This is a 10-year company.
I was gonna say, that's. what-
We're not ahead.
Not ahead. So it's timely.
Yeah.
Okay, so whoops. So we're also,
Yep.
well, there, right?
Yep, next meeting,
Anything you want to put on next time? or-
everything we said. I'm here that we're gonna-
Yeah, right, okay.
We don't
All
have
right.
to repeat it.
All right. Okay, well then. we'll adjourn. Thank you.
so, Jim,